Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's conversation is with a practicing coach. We are not shy about the fact that these are some of our favorite conversations. Allison Tenney is a fitness industry veteran, a strength and conditioning coach with a history coaching collegiate sports. She's been working in the online personal training space for a long time, and she's got it dialed. So we asked her piles of questions about how she set up her business. You're welcome. Oh, Allison is also gearing up to run a live event. And don't we all miss those? It seems plausible that the collective consciousness will crave events, conferences, retreats, in-person workshops, etc. now more than ever after a long hiatus and isolation. If hosting a live event is on your radar, Allison is here with the nuggets of wisdom. We'd love to have you screenshot your podcast player and tag us on Instagram at Health Coach Radio. By the way, the show notes for this episode and all previous episodes can be found at primalhealthcoach.com/radio. At Health Coach Radio, we are all about raising the voices of practicing health, fitness, and nutrition coaches and helping to drive this exploding industry forward. Our show is proudly brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute, an approved educational provider with a national board of health and wellness coaches. This means our graduates can become eligible to sit for the NBHWC credentialing exam to become a board-certified health and wellness coach. Stay tuned to the end of the show where Laura will talk a bit more about our advanced coaching course that will deliver you to coaching mastery and satisfy the education requirements to sit for that board exam. You can always learn more at primalhealthcoach.com/level2. Okay, I'm excited for this one and I hope you are too. Please enjoy our conversation with Allison Tenney.
All right, Allison Tenney, we're so excited to talk to you. How are you today?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here. This is amazing.
Oh my gosh, 3 chicks that love fitness. This is going to be such a fun conversation. Erin just gave us the old flex. I love it. So Allison, we like to start all our conversations with just kind of a little bit of your backstory, like 3 to 5 minute, like who is Allison Tenney and how did you get here? Can you fill us in?
Oof. Okay. Only 3 to 5 minutes. You're going to get the Cliff Notes version. So I usually say that soccer sport kind of got me here. I grew up a soccer player, and that really sent me on a trajectory to college athletics. I played Division I soccer at George Mason University and then started coaching youth teams, coaching in the area, and really taking on coaching and fell in love with coaching. I then was a volunteer coach at my alma mater at George Mason and kind of decided actually between law school and coaching. Because I went through one of those transformations of I graduated from college. I have an English degree. What am I going to do with my life? Well, I mean, I guess you go to law school. That seems like a logical thing to do. Not at all. So deferred for a year. And that really put me down the coaching path. So I became a college coach, started bouncing around for my career, was in Missouri, was in New York, and then met my husband. And then we both ended up in Seattle. And I was coaching college soccer at Seattle University for almost 9 years. And during that time was really, obviously being a soccer player, you have to be physically strong, physically fit, all of those things to play at a high level. And so obviously I was invested in fitness. And as a coach, kind of got into this hybrid role of doing all of the strength and conditioning for the team and also was a field coach. So I was able to bring together the tactical side of the game, because I was on the field, I was at the games, I was coaching, and then off the field, marry that with what they were doing in the weight room, what they were doing in their conditioning programs. Because so often in college athletics, and I would say this is true of a lot of professions, fitness, nutrition, stuff like that, we really silo those things out. And the strength coaches aren't talking to the sport coaches, and it ends in overtraining, over injuries, things like that. So I was able to bridge that gap and do both, which was really fun. I loved it because I got to be a little bit more hands-on with my athletes in the weight room and really oversee that for them. It was really, really fun. So that's where I got my strength kind of coach role from. It was very much driven by coaching my athletes. Well, then fast forward, super cliff notes, was married, had 2 babies, and my husband is also in professional sports. And so we ended up moving. I had taken on as a, I guess, side hustle. Don't we all start off as like side hustles? Like, sure, I kind of like this thing. I'll start doing this thing. My alumni were coming back to me being like, you trained us for 4 years. You wrote all of our programs. What do we do now? It's like, oh, I guess I can charge you a few bucks. I'll keep training you. And that kind of snowballed into taking people into my garage and the moms on my street and some of my athletes and just kind of putting it out there on Instagram, really dipping my toe into these things. And then went to a bunch of live events, really immersed myself in certifications, really getting better at the craft. I was a good athlete. I knew how to train, but really putting that into a business plan, a business practice. How do I do that? It's not just a hobby anymore. I was really trying to transform lives. So we then left Seattle. My husband got a job and I went all in on the online space. I couldn't really take my clients with me, obviously. So just really bet on myself to make the online fitness thing work. And it's been incredible. Just really found my voice in the last few years, and really grew this community, this little corner of the internet that I absolutely adore.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Tell us about what you have going on now.
Oof, that's a loaded question. So right now I am knee deep in the launch of a live event that I host. This will actually be the 4th time I've put on the event. It was obviously canceled for 2020 because of the pandemic, but it's called Ignited Women's Summit. And that started 5 years ago because I had been going to all of these live events, met incredible people, but found this, wanted something more. I wanted something deeper. My entrepreneur friends and just my friends in general in the fitness space were having these conversations around these deeper whys. Like, muscles are cool, fitness is cool, but like, there's just so many barriers for women. So many barriers, so many narratives. And it's like we were knocking on these doors and just getting them slammed. And I wanted to have a space, have a community, have conversations where we were talking about those whys. We were getting into uncomfortable, like, let's really push these edges that was beyond physiology, beyond sets and reps and form and warm-ups and cool downs and like really the X's and O's. Because you can go deep into X's and O's, but to me, the transformation happens on an interpersonal level. And so I wanted to create something where we were having those conversations. And that's how Ignited Women's Summit was really born. And it's transformed over the years as well. So I'm in the midst of launching that. That's happening in October. And I have a group training program called the Den, and it's my template online strength and conditioning program. And it's been going great. It's been growing. It's been thriving. I hired a co-coach into that program, have the best Den members, and I'm going to be launching a DIY version. So I'm pretty involved in coaching those people, even though it's a template program. We use True Coach, which is an online training platform, and they get the program. It's a bomb program because I train them just like I do my athletes. It's all phased out for the full year.
Oh.
And they get to submit videos, write in notes. There's a lot of back and forth inside of the app. Me and my co-coach Mallory leaving videos for them, cheering them on. Gifts are a love language. But we found that some people just don't utilize that or don't need it as much. So now I've created leg of the Den that will be DIY, where it's the same program minus the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of back end work to make sure all of those systems still work.
Wow.
Yeah. I love how, so first of all, I know people listening are going to want to know a lot more about how you took training online. So I would love to dig into that process a little bit with you.
Honestly, not to sound like a Luddite, but I don't understand that either. Like, as somebody who's been a trainer for ages, it's like everybody's doing it. Like, not everybody's doing it, but it's super.
The pandemic required it of people for sure.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm already set up this way. So cool.
I mean, so your necessity came because you moved, right? And so you found a way to do it. But I know, because look, my role here at our school is I'm talking to people all day that have an interest in becoming a coach, a health coach, many of which are from the fitness realm, many of which are not. But they also know that to try to build a full-time business dealing just one-on-one, face-to-face with their local community, for many of them doesn't sound like that's going to happen soon, and that the answer is going to be taking this online. So I would love to hear that process that you sort of went through there. But then I also, at some point in this conversation, I am excited for in-person events to come back. I'm just so thrilled that you are starting that this year. So I would love to find out about, how you got that started. But first things first.
Yeah.
Right? First things first, going online. Yeah. So I think what you hit on is exactly the problem for so many trainers. You will burn out trying to do this one-to-one. You're an hour of your time for one person. You're doing the one-to-one model. And at some point, there's a bottleneck. You cap. You just do. And I think that is the space where you just keep hitting your head against the wall. Where do I go? Versus a model of one to many. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this. And full disclosure, people come to me asking me these questions. And I think there's a big difference between hiring a business coach who is well-versed in all of this. I do not position myself as a business coach. I've been in it for a long time. And so I know my process and my model, and I've set that up for me. So I do want to be very clear for people that what I'm going to say is what's worked for me. And my lifestyle. I'm not telling you that this is, quote, the right way. We all start off with Google Docs and PDFs, do we not? Right? Emails and Google Docs and Google Sheets and video links, and you're sending that back and forth. To me, efficiency is key. So I had been doing that. My in-person people would come to my garage. We would train. I was creating monthly PDFs, emailing them their PDF, being like, here's some workouts you can do at home. Come see me once a week. That was kind of the model that I had set up for my in-person. I didn't have, I was not a 6 a.m. class, 7 a.m. class, 8 a.m. class. I was coaching college soccer. Mm-hmm. That was my job. So on weekends, in between stuff, and I was carting around 2 babies. So they were coming to soccer practices. They were sitting on their iPads with snacks, me being like, Mommy has a session for an hour, just stay inside. This was a lot of bootstrapping. So PDFs, Google Sheets, Google Docs. And then you start hearing about and seeing about what other people are doing. I mean, like, oh, that looks a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient. So I started using True Coach, which is an online training app for programming for coaches. And it allows you to basically input all of your program into a mobile app. And the user interface I find to be super simple for me as the coach. I have my client rosters. I can click on everybody. I can program for them. You can upload your own videos. So I have my own video exercise library. You can also link YouTube videos. It's super great to be programming inside of. And for my clients, instead of these Google Sheets back and forth, and they're trying to find this email and this link was broken, it's all on your phone. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to, I want to say like stay up with the times, it has to be easy for people. You don't want to be creating more barriers for why they're not doing their program, they're not showing up, that like, if they're like, I couldn't find it for the day, it's so easy in that split second to be like, well, I'm just not going to do it because I couldn't find it.
Right.
Yeah. So started using True Coach when I made the move and just bet on myself. Was like, hey, y'all know me as a soccer coach. It was an identity piece to me too. I had to really let that go for a year. When I moved to Florida, people would be like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, well, I was a soccer coach. And I also run my own online business, right? Like that was a whole thing for me. But I just put it out there. It's like, I've been programming for athletes forever, really good at what I do. And I'm starting this program. And one of the best decisions I will say for me was calling it the Den, branding myself as like, I have the Den, the Den, the Den, the Den. Every time I'm talking about strength and conditioning, I'm bringing it back to the Den. And so people have something to latch onto, to be a part of, to get into. So I launched the Den. And it started out as a 3-month program because most strength and conditioning coaches learn periodization models. You program for 12 weeks. So that was kind of the thing. Like, here's a 12-week program and go do it. I'm more hands-on as a coach. And so that first initial launch, I had like 12 members inside of the Den and they crushed it. They did great inside of True Coach. It was a nice back and forth. And then they got to the end of the 3 months and they're like, okay, now what? And I was like, ooh, I guess you can stay, like re-enroll, do another 3 months. And it really grew organically. And after 6 months, they were like, great, next phase. I was like, great, let me create that for you. Yes. And so when there's a need for it, you go create it. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I did. And so now the Den is a full year program. It's really more robust. They get monthly emails. There's a Den download for them. Like it's grown because I've been doing it for a while. That's how I went online. And along the way, there were business coaches, there were mentors, there were people in the space that were like, I'm doing it this way. It's worked really well. Don't do it that way. That's kind of a dead end. And so I've found the bottlenecks and ways around those bottlenecks.
That's amazing. Well, I think one thing that you just touched on toward the end there is when we are starting out in any kind of coaching in the sort of category of program development, you're literally co-creating that with your clients. Like your clients are helping you build your program. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just an important soundbite to put out there, just to put that out into the universe for anybody listening who's like, I don't know how to build a program. It's like, listen, your clients are going to tell you how to build it. And if you just stay like a day ahead of your clients, you'll build it with them. And I think that's really important to know. None of us created a year-long program out the gate. Like,
businesses are built by solving problems for people. And I see a big pitfall for business owners, for coaches in general, are like, well, this thing worked for me. I like doing this thing. And you are going to have kind of these intersections of your zone of genius and problems that you solve for people, right? Like I don't position myself as a pre and postnatal coach. I've had 2 babies, doesn't make me qualified, right? Like I work with a more athletically inclined population. I get a lot of trainers, right? Like you find your intersections, but you're solving problems for those people. I didn't create a year-long program and be like, oh, fingers crossed, I hope this works for people. Like,
Right.
it's been tested now. I can get so hype about the den because every single step along the way, I know that they get success. I know how well it works because it's for this type of client in looking for a specific type of training solution. And I'm the right coach for that. And I think that's really important for people to understand when you're trying to go online. Ask people what their problems are. Believe me, they'll tell you.
Oh my gosh, that's just so great because we talk about this all the time, the importance of being very clear about what you do, for whom, and to solve what problem. There are so many people that just they're way too broad. They're not clear about what it is they do at all. They're trying to solve way too many problems. Then they're sort of out there trying to promote themselves, but it comes across as super inauthentic because they don't have a lot of confidence in what they're saying and what they're doing because they're trying to do too many things. What I loved was how specific you were about, I solve this problem for this specific person, this specific way.
That took time.
Yeah.
Also, I should probably go scroll way back in my Instagram and start like archiving shit because it's a process. And I didn't start out like right away diving into the den. That a lot of my process, a lot of my programs and work has been organic. And now I've hit my stride. Now it's easy for me to talk about this stuff. But before that, there were like little one-offs. I have a Kettlebell Certifications. I created like a 6-week like beginner kettlebell thing. It's a great program. I sell like 0 of them because I never talk about it. I launched it like 3 years ago. It's not like a big thing for me anymore, but that came before the den. I was talking about a lot of social justice issues, body diversity issues, and was like, do I talk about these things? But how does that relate? Like, my growth has also been happening along the way. So I think, and this is a racket that bothers me about business coaches, is that yes, niche down. You've got to find who your people are, solve that problem. But that takes a lot of identity work on my end to figure out who I am. Yep. And when you talk about that inauthentic piece, if I don't know who I am, how the hell am I going to talk to somebody else about their strength and their journey? Like it's again, this is why I like having these conversations, why I created Ignited Women's Summit. It's deeper than just like, I help women get confident by lifting weights. No, it's deeper than that. I promise. And I think that people stop there. And then they wonder why it's not working.
Yeah. Well, and when we teach it in our school, like, because Laura and I are on the faculty of a health coaching school. So Laura said, we teach them this unique value proposition, which is I solve this problem for this person in this using this methodology. But that's the third step. That's actually the third step in our process. The first step is, who are you? Get clear on who you are. Okay, then let's talk about who the people are. Who's this person that you would love to help? And then you come to this unique value proposition. But it starts with you. It always does. And it has to. Otherwise, if it's not authentic, it's going to feel like work. You're not going to achieve the success that's potentially available to you. So it really does have to start with you.
Absolutely. And I love that you teach it that way. That way first. I think it really sets people up for longer term success.
Yeah. One thing I love that you shared when you were kind of evolving from like emailed PDFs to True Coach. First of all, it's an efficiency thing. So anytime we can bring systems on board, that makes it easier for the business owner, the coach. But the one piece that I'm really a staunch advocate for is the customer experience. like a clunky kind of analog sort of haphazard customer experience, which is how we're all going to start, full disclosure.
Yep, absolutely.
But when we move to something that's more not streamlined, but more slick, it feels like there's a value that's inherent in a slick customer experience.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I hire people for that shit. I hire that out. My zone of genius is programming. I am a great programmer. I am a great coach. Like, I am up in their business. Movement is my jam. Programming is my jam. And I am an Enneagram 2. I'm a helper. So I love pouring into my people. That is where I like to stay. When it comes to making things look slick, processes. Now, I'm also a very organized person, like hence event management as like a side skill. I have an incredible website developer, and she's literally been with me this entire time. When I was like, hey, I'm going to start a business, like, where do I go? A friend of a friend, of course, gave me her name, was like, let's build a website. And she built me a website. And now we're on, my gosh, we've been together now for 7 years. We're on our like 5th iteration of the website. And she literally just sent me an email this morning and was like, here's this plugin that we need to get, and this is connected to this, and here's this API key. And that, like, she does all that. Full disclosure, my website is on WordPress. I don't touch it. So that system, that process is all her, but I tell her how I want it to function. So inside the Den, when you go to my website, you click pay. I have some different models that, again, have taken me some time to get to. I have what's called a generosity model, where I did a lot of work around this idea of, I'm using air quotes, like access, financial access, who is able to like purchase fitness. When we talk about access to those things, it's a very privileged conversation. So when you talk about your pricing model and how much it takes to like sustain my lifestyle and my business, like, it's not like when I charge $119 for the Den, that $119 goes into my pocket. Right. That ain't the way business works. Again, go hire a business coach to talk about all the overhead and stuff like that. I have a generosity practice where you get to pay either $119 or $199. So instead of me sitting over here being like, oh, I want people to afford it, and who can afford it, and do I offer lower price? Like, that feels really gross and icky to me. I came up with a generosity practice where it's the same program. You get the same thing, but you choose as a conscious consumer how to be spending your money. If you choose $199, you're allowing other people to choose $119. And I think we need to infuse more ways into our businesses and into these business practices to allow people to practice those things. If you want access to be a priority, work on it. There's plenty of courses and people that are doing that work. So anyway, I digress. That's part of my business, which again, didn't come out of nowhere. That was probably the 3rd or 4th like pricing model for the Den that felt good after I had done that identity work. But Amanda, my website, I call her my website magician. She sets all of that up for me, like full disclosure. So if you're picking this price and you get this email and it goes through this funnel and it's like all automated, which has been probably a year process.
Yeah.
They organically happen because it got to be too much for me to be copying and pasting from my Google Docs to like all of my clients, which month they were in. And all, like, even with True Coach, the programming was set, I could just assign, and that was super easy. But then I was like, you know what? They need to understand their program. I want to be emailing them. So I created monthly emails that go out. Well, how do you, like, you got to automate, you got to find systems that work for that. So again, it's like, I'm overwhelmed. How do I solve this problem for me? Because I want the client experience to be slick. to be streamlined, for them to feel loved on and poured into.
Yeah. I want to just pause for 1 second to explain something that I think is really important to our listener, which is that your website magician, Amanda, she's a website developer.
Yes.
Which is actually different than a website designer.
I hired different people for all of that. I have a copywriter that I've hired. I have a designer that I've hired. And then I hand those things off to Amanda, who takes all of that and implements it and makes sure that links are correct, that systems are correct. So Amanda implements, and I hire people to make it look pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the website development is the piece where the customer experience is. I go to Allison's website. It's very clear what button I press. It's very clear how I sign up. It's, I enter my credit card, boom, I'm in. Here's my first day of programming, like versus the analog model, which is where a lot of people are going to come from, which is, I'm me. I haven't automated this yet. So if you buy my online course, I'm going to get an email from Thinkific that says this learner just signed up. Then I have to go into my email automation and enter that person's name. And none of this. So it's, there's that period of time where you're like, you're on the bubble. You're like, this is the point where I have to start automating this, because this customer experience is at the point where it's getting clunky, because there's a delay between when they sign up and when they get their welcome email, depending on if I caught it in time, and you know what I mean? So that's the slickness. Yeah.
So Amanda, my website magician, she does everything on WordPress, where my website is. Then I have ConvertKit, which manages my email list. Now, I also set up automations through ConvertKit. So when you sign up on my website, it tags you in ConvertKit, you get welcome email and can dump you into whatever kind of email system I want. I also have Dubsado, where I put workflows in. So when you sign up on my website, you get an automated email from ConvertKit, I get notified, and then I go in and I do put my clients into Dubsado, where those monthly emails go out. There's monthly emails, there's a re-enrollment email. So all of that is handled, and it's all time-stamped and dated. So no matter where you are in the den, because that was another issue that I had this 12-month robust program. Do you start everybody at the beginning and then only how do you get people in? I can launch it whenever now, because I have literally 12 months of programming. It's all month to month in TrueCoach. So when you go into my programs in TrueCoach, it says month 1 at home, month 1 gym, month 2 at home, month 2 gym. And I can assign those whenever people start. So on a monthly basis, that's what's going on. But through TrueCoach, my WordPress site, ConvertKit for emails, Dubsado for workflows for those monthly emails. There's a lot of automated systems that have developed because it's overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
And when you find those bottlenecks, you find a solution for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So does TrueCoach interface with one of those systems in there, or how does? No? Okay.
So the training side of TrueCoach is basically on a different system than Dubsado, where the emails go out. But I have them synced in a way where I assign a month. Every training program month is 4 weeks long. So inside Dubsado, those emails drip out every 4 weeks. So then when I assign another month, month 2 email goes out. Welcome to month 2. Here's what you're going to find in your month 2. So they are synced because I've gone through and synced them up. It's a lot of work on the front end. People are like, oh, systems, it's so easy. Well, you still have to create. I have months 1 through 12 at home and at the gym, and now months 1 through 12 of a DIY program, all inside of Dubsado. Those started in Google Docs, where I was copying and pasting to all of my clients back and forth. And it was like an Excel spreadsheet nightmare. I hired a VA who was like, it sounds like you need this program. I'm like, great, solve my problem for me. Let's do it.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you, problem solver.
Yeah, we had, you keep using the word bottleneck, which is, I'm triggered by that word because we had Meredith McCarty on a few months ago, and she runs a VA agency, and she declared me the bottleneck in my business. It's like, yeah, I am. But that's okay. But it is this transitional period between I'm doing everything. Guys, you're going to do everything manually. You're going to type the keys off your MacBook like I did. I typed the letters right off the keys.
I do.
But that's all important work in program development, in figuring out who you are, what solution you have. Eventually you're going to take all that work and you're going to need to put it into something. And that's work too. That's a lot of work to get into an automated system. Big time. Not going to sugarcoat that. Not going to sugarcoat that.
You open up TrueCoach and it's blank. And you're like, what? Can I swear? Like, yes. I have to create this whole thing. It's blank. And I love programming, but you're like, oh my God. Like,
I know.
Yeah, it's the overwhelm that I think can stop people in their tracks in the first place, where it's like, I don't even know where to start. So if opening up something like TrueCoach overwhelms you, part of it is because you haven't really taken the steps that you at least had content that you could then turn around and add to TrueCoach. You have to start by building that content and what it looks like. And it makes no sense to jump into some super slick program that you don't have the foundation, you don't have the infrastructure yet. So you've got to start someplace.
Having proof of concept. So I was taking the PDFs that I had already created and just copying and pasting them over into TrueCoach and then tweaking. I meet with my co-coach Mallory once a week, every other week. And we go back in, we're like, let's hop into month 7 of the program. What are they doing in month 7? And we'll go and be like, this now, I think based on the research, based on whatever we're learning in the fitness space is going to be a better option for these people. Or we get feedback from our den members. Hey, I don't have a Bosu ball. I don't have a Bosu ball. Nobody has a freaking Bosu ball.
Very out of style.
Let's take that stupid blue ball out of the program. Like that kind of stuff. This is not all a set it and forget it. This is a checks and balances for me because I'm still inside doing those things. And I had proof of concept as I was creating it. And I will also say, knowing myself, the reason I have people like Amanda for my website, like I hired a VA for Dubsado, I have a designer. I loathe that stuff. There are some people that geek out on their website and they can do all their all that code. I can't even talk the language of it, right? Like I email my website magician and say, I want these 2 buttons. I complicate the hell out of it, right? Like who has a generosity model for their payment stuff? Like that's not simple, but that's how I want it to function. So I email her exactly how I want things to go and she does it. I work with that's again, not my zone of genius. TrueCoach, programming, love it. That's where I stay. And so the rest of it, I put myself on the hook. I hire other people that have deadlines. I announce it on Instagram. I'm launching this thing in August. Oh, crap. Now I'm like, oh, God, that means I have to have a landing page and I have to have these buttons ready. Like now I hustle. I put myself on the hook and then I get it done.
Yeah.
I love that.
Erin and I had a conversation like a long time ago, Erin. Remember, I forget, maybe it was in one of our webinars and we were talking about that sort of thing. Like, are you the kind of person that you just have to plan it, book it, and then that's going to be what lights the fire under you to like get it done? Or are you the kind of person that if you do that, you're going to be so stressed out, you're going to be so wrangled that you're going to end up canceling it and then you feel bad about yourself? Because I'm more like you. If I set a deadline for something, it just has to get done, and that's when it gets started. But not everybody functions very well that way. But it's one strategy that works well for some people.
Yeah,
everyone should at least try it one time. Everyone should. When I did my very first group program, it started on November 1st, and I conceived of it on October 15th. And on October 16th, I put it on Instagram and said, hey, I got this group program launching November 1st. There was nothing. There was 0 built. It was like, here we go. But if I hadn't done that, it probably still wouldn't be built to this day, right? So I think we should all give it a try.
I honestly, I really believe in build the plane as you fly it.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it as much as I should, according to my business coach. Erin probably knows. I have a high level 6-month program called the Wolf Pack, and we do a lot of mindset work. Like actually this round only has 8. I take 8 to 10 women. The first round of that, I was like, I got the programming piece. It's one-on-one programming for all of them, but these monthly modules that I was creating, I created month 1.
Yes.
I created month 1 was like, we're starting with core values. And I took them through how to get their core values. And I was like, we should probably talk about how to set goals, like really set goals, not just like smart goals, but like, what's the feeling? What do you want it to be like at the end of the 6 months? We talk about diet culture and body image. So I had these I want to have these conversations with these type of women, but I created month 1.
Yep.
And then it was like, month 2, I'll create these journal prompts and we'll have this conversation. And it really was a build the plane as you fly it. Your clients will tell you.
You literally have to do it that way.
Yeah.
You can't imagine or assume what month 2 is going to be until you're in month 1. And I know that probably sounds crazy to a new coach starting out, but you have to co-create programs with your clients. It's way easier for you rather than just trying to invent what the next thing should be. And it works. And then what's beautiful is that the next time you run like a wolf pack, you probably tweaked it, made some adjustments the 3rd time, the 4th time. And then by the 4th or 5th time, it's like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
This is how it goes. And then there's some predictability that's inherent. I know on month 3, everybody wants to talk about this. And I know when we get into this lesson, these are the FAQs that come up. And there's this predictability that's built in after you've run it, but you have to build it with your clients. I just don't see any other way.
Right. I mean, I think it's helpful to have an outline. Like my first group program, I had a general outline for how this was going to go. Just like you, Allison, I had week 1 done before it launched. And then I was literally, after I completed week 1 and based on the feedback we were getting and the interaction we were getting, okay, yeah, my, week 2 is going to stay, the same. But there were times where I did, where I changed the order of something that was coming up in the next week, just based on the types of questions that were coming up in, say, week 3. Maybe I should switch week 6 with week 4 and kind of move things around. Like I had an outline, but I was writing it as I went based on the questions and the conversations that we had the week before. And then over time, I was like, you know what, this particular structure isn't quite long enough. I think I needed a little bit longer. So I made it longer. And then I found that was too long. So I settled in. I cut it back by a week, and the structure changed over time. But I think you have a general guideline as to what you want to accomplish in this group program and what you think these people really need to be successful, and have the first week, maybe 2, kind of figure it out. And then to Erin's point, to use Erin's words, let them help co-create the rest of that for you, because they'll tell you what they need just by the kind of questions that they're asking, how they're expressing their experience, what they're finding, they're excited about, and the successes that they've had, and where there's still a lot of confusion or challenges that now informs what you might want to continue to add to your program down the road.
And what I love that both of you are kind of hitting on, this idea around co-creating with your clients. So number 1, trusting yourself as the coach to be able to handle and manage what comes up for those clients, and to have the flexibility to be nimble to talk about those things. And number 2, what you said, Laura, that really made me think of this, how often as coaches, we are trying to control the experience and the outcomes for our clients. And isn't that just so off base to me? The more I coach, the more I do this with the most brilliant humans that I am honored to be in relationship with inside of the Wolfpack and the Den. how dare I try to control their experience? Like, they are multifaceted, amazing, incredible human beings with their own experiences. And I get to walk beside them, and we get to co-create. I love this idea of co-creating with your clients, but that interpersonal relationship is such a sacred space to me that I really got clear that my pitfall was when I would try to like really manage and hold tight and try to control their experience. Like, I can give them mindset topics and we can have these conversations. But number one, that's their experience and their stuff to work through. I can be a guide, but it is not my responsibility, I think, to control that. And that just felt really icky.
Well, coaching is a partnership. Now, coach is in a leadership role, but it's this beside leadership. Coaching is not a teacher-student paradigm, and I think I wanted to put that out there because I think a lot of coaches that get into it think I'm in charge. I have the knowledge. I know what I'm talking about. I'm the expert, which we do have expertise. Absolutely, I'm not discounting that. But the way we dispense our wisdom is through co-creation and partnership. And just a really simple example, a client I spoke to yesterday, you guys, this is the most simple coaching situation, but she said, I'm going away this weekend to visit my family. Whenever I visit my family, I have a hard time keeping my eating on track, because of this reason. I, as the coach, held space. What's the obvious answer? The obvious answer is, well, client, you should bring your own food. But I didn't say that. I listened. We talked about it. Then she said, you know what? I should bring my own food. Like, it was her idea. So it's a very, very simple, very, very simplistic example of how we hold space and we're in partnership with clients. We're not the boss of them. And that's just a really important distinction to make.
Yeah. And I think there's a difference too when clients are asking for help, asking for advice. Because, to a certain degree, as coaches, we educate. That's part of our role. But that's not the coaching part of our role. We're part educator. We're part like all these little pieces that need to step forward when the client needs it and is asking for it. Right. And to your point, Erin, I think a lot of people come in thinking what they have to build is the perfect program to control the outcome. But newsflash, coaches, you don't have any control over the outcome. You don't. You have control over the program. Yes. And that's something that you offer, right? Your program is a service. It's a tool that you offer. But from a coaching perspective, you can't control that outcome. So you have to be able to detach for that. And you have to just really get invested in, and I heard you say this, Allison, that relationship, right? That interpersonal connection that you have with the client so that they get the outcome that they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, they might start down a path that they think they want something. And through the course of that relationship, what they really want turns out to be something a little bit different when they discover what's possible, right?
Right. And it's those possibilities that I think is our job to really walk them through for themselves. And something that you said, Erin, how we hold space. So for my programs, and the way I think of it is creating a container. What container am I creating for people in general? And I think this goes for your community that you're a part of, for your family. Like, what are those container guidelines and container rules? It's one of the first things that we do in my Wolf Pack. We talk about container guidelines and assumptions and biases that I have. I think it's very dangerous for me, and this is a podcast so people are listening and not seeing, as a privileged white woman in a thin body with all the privilege that I bring to the table, for me to just say, hey, come to my space. I have a safe space. I do not believe you can just state my space is safe. How are you creating those spaces? Because let me tell you, people come with all kinds of assumptions, privilege, biases. And if you are not at least educating yourself on those different lived experiences, you will do harm to your clients. And then when you do that harm, how you clean it up matters even more. And I think this is a huge, just nasty underbelly, hello, white supremacy, that rears its ugly head in the fitness industry all the time. And it's something that I wish we were having more conversations about. So holding space and containers is huge.
And so if I'm interpreting what you're saying is like, we don't get to say, this is your container. The client says, this is the container I need from you.
So I think as the coach, we like actually flip that. I set the container of this is how this group is going to operate. And there are certain guidelines, and we all get to then add to the container. But whatever is holding that container is the coach's responsibility. And I don't think, at least in the beginning, I was like, cool, everybody come. Like, I'm a cool person. I'm nice. I'm a good person. This will work out great. Yeah, if you don't set that container, there's nothing to hold. And you have to find what your guidelines are. And to me, it goes beyond like very fluff stuff. We have impact is more important than intention. Acknowledging your privilege, acknowledging your biases. How are you going to clean things up with people inside the group? So the container is the coach's responsibility. And then everybody, my clients, get to add their magic. It's not me standing like up top in this hierarchy, like dictating all of their experiences and controlling that. We're all, I think of it as like this bowl, and we're all like around in a circle, equals. I've created that container, but then we all get to add in our magic.
Well, that's great. That's amazing. You really thought this through. I have literally 1 million more questions for you, but we have to be conscious of time. Like, I wanted to ask questions about how your programming is done in True Coach. And I know that you're a huge fan of True Coach as a platform, but I think probably it's worthwhile for us to shift to the live event, because I think it's something we're all excited to talk about.
Yes.
So where should we start? Should we start with like the tactics of organizing a live event?
Whatever you think would be most helpful.
Well, okay. So the Ignited Women's Summit, so you said that you've had this particular event before. This isn't your first time with this one. Okay.
This is not my first rodeo.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So, and what was your intention in creating it initially?
Initially, breaking down narratives that women are taught to expect of themselves. Like,
That's deep. Yep.
Yeah. It's particularly in the fitness space. And now I don't see it as much, again, because as I've gone deeper and deeper into it, I attract people that are more interested in losing 10 pounds. Like, okay, cool. You want to lose 10 pounds. Great. But why? Who told you that? Yeah. And usually it's the patriarchy, and usually it's capitalism, and usually it's rooted in white supremacy, and usually it's for the male gaze. All of that is bullshit. None of that is yours. And let's talk about it. So that's why I created Ignited Women's Summit. Yes, I attract more. It's geared for more fitness professionals, wellness professionals. There's physical therapists, there's nutritionists, like movement enthusiasts. You don't even have to have your own business or whatever. Like, people are like, cool, I like to work out, but something's like kind of missing. It's an embodiment. I see strength and fitness as an embodiment practice. We're so disconnected from our head to our heart, to our body, to our soul. And in Western culture, we're really indoctrinated into individualism. If I work hard enough, I can do it on my own, bootstrap. Like, it's so fucked up the way we individually think we can tackle these things. That is not true. We are pack beings. So I love the wolf pack. We need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other.
Tribal.
We are. And yet we're caught in this loop. If I don't lose the 10 pounds, it's my fault. I'm a trash human. And so let me try the next diet. Let me try the next fitness plan. I go all in. I try my hardest. I didn't do it. Shame, guilt. Let me try again. Like, it's messed up. And it keeps women on this cycle of shame and guilt versus like, my power and my purpose is inherent. And I'm going to use that for good in the world. And that is what Ignited is for.
Man, I have to go to it. Hopefully the border opens up and I can go to it. Because I mean, everything you're saying is a passion project of mine currently too. And as a woman who works with women, as a coach who works with women in the metabolic health space, you know, there's so much badassery to be achieved when your body works well and when you feel comfortable in your life and in your world. But I still want to get into those size 6 jeans hanging in my closet. And it's like, I get that. And, but, you know, you have agency over your lived experience in your body. And I'm not here to commandeer that. But why? You know, anyway, it's huge. Okay. That's an amazing come from. That's wonderful. So let's talk brass tacks. Like,
yeah,
I don't even know, like, gosh, this would be an hour-long conversation by itself. But I guess like where do you start? Do you find a venue? Do you find speakers? Do you like, how do you, like, honestly?
Speakers. It's all about your speakers. And I've been asked before, like, how do you get the speak? I have personal connections and personal ties to each and every one of those speakers. I am hell-bent on bringing different perspectives, different backgrounds, different ideas to this like health and wellness space. And it's a little like, well, as a white woman trying to do these things, like I've done a lot of work on myself to make sure that I have checks and balances around those things. I start with my speakers. Their voice, their message is super aligned with what I want to be sharing in the space. And like, it's that, like them. This is, yeah, I'm the founder. I'm like the host or whatever, but there's a reason I don't speak.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And I think there's so much intention behind the creation of who I invite to speak at the summit. So it's all about the speakers, number one. So I make sure that I've nailed down speakers, and then I find an event space.
Actually, can we pause? Do the speakers come with topic ideas, or do you have a sense of like what topics you want to cover? How does that work?
So again, this is like, you got to do your homework. I've been like, some of them are like, full disclosure, are my very good friends, but I've known them for years. I've seen their education process, their development. I know their message. I know their struggles. I know them even from afar. Like, I've been following them. We are in the DMs. This is not like oh, she's got a lot of followers, let me see if she'll come to the event. Like, there's just not that buy-in and that deep connection that you need your speakers to be invested in, at least for me when I'm creating that. So I tell them, because they already have an angle, right? Like Shantae Cofield, the movement maestro, like her thing is building your best life. And how do you find your authentic voice? And how do you do that online? I've worked with Shantae. I was on Shantae's podcast like a year and a half ago. Like, we have a relationship where I know what she's going to bring to the table, and it's exactly what I want at Ignited. I can say that of each and every one of the speakers that have always spoken at Ignited. And I get hyped to be like, the floor is yours. I'm not here to dictate what you should say. Like, say it, scream it, ruffle some feathers. Let's get after it.
Love that. Okay. So then it's venue.
Yep. Speakers and then venue to make sure I have like those pieces set. So just finding a venue, putting down, I mean, again, I am not Google or Nike. Like
Right.
goes on credit card. Like to anybody listening, live events are not a money maker at all. I lost money every year. Maybe I'll make money this year. Maybe I'm projected to if I hit certain numbers. But coming up with a budget, coming up with like where I'm spending money, let me tell you, year 1 and 2, I was just like pulling out credit cards, paying for stuff because I wanted it to be a certain experience. It's not a moneymaker. This is coming from Allison Tenney bank account, not sponsorship money. And I think that is an important piece to say to people that are thinking about putting on live events. You better be passionate about it. You better like your speakers. You're going to be like having to track them down and deal with them and fly. Like, it's a lot.
What do you look for in a venue?
Gosh, I'm so like, the feel, the intimate space, the warmth, the feel, how I run it. We do a keynote and then we also have breakout sessions. So I need spaces to also run those breakout sessions. And breakout sessions, I don't want more than 25 or 30 people sitting around tables in close quarters, making sure that people can interact with one another. So is there a space for a keynote? What would that setup look like in the space? How would breakout sessions work? We also put into the space, what I'm excited about the venue for this year, we have a quiet room. There's like, this is actually a big photography space. So it's this huge venue, huge. It's like, I don't know, however many thousands of square feet, but it's wide open. And then there's like a makeup room and an upstairs like library room. And so we have a quiet space, no talking. People can go into the room, my introverts, people that need to journal, that need to process, will have a room just to go where there's no talking, literally. There's also going to be a room for mothers if you need to breastfeed, if you need to pump, making sure that we're accommodating different energetic needs and physical needs for people is really important to me.
Wow. That's literally something I've never experienced at a live event. You know, I love that you put that thought into it.
It's really about, like, talk about co-creating with your clients. I co-create with the attendees. I get to see the incredible people that sign up. And so when those like ticket sales come through, I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like the speakers, yeah, cool. The attendees are freaking amazing. And part of my thing when I do open the event, when I do say like, welcome to everybody, you are a contribution to Ignited. I think most live events, you go and you sit and you listen, you're like, all right, how is this going to help me? How am I going to make my business better? How is this person going to improve my life? Again, individualism. That ain't it. How are you contributing? And so the expectation of the attendees when they show up is that you are contributing to this event. I create the container. I've thought it through every angle, but then everybody gets to come and add their magic. And so we co-create with everybody there. Everybody is a contribution. And that's what makes Ignited so magical.
I love that. Being able to attend an event that you know you can walk away from saying, not only did I learn something, but I gave something and I shared something.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because I mean, as much as people like to kind of sit in the back and just listen and I guess be a fly on the wall, to be able to actually say, you know, whatever that contribution is, whether it's giving your own feedback on your own experience or asking a question that somebody else might have been afraid to ask, or stating something saying, have we looked at it from a different point of view, or, you know what, I don't know how. Can you give me some ideas? You know, that the people around you can learn from your thought process as much as you can learn from others.
Absolutely.
We love breakouts. Yeah.
So what kind of attendees, so how many people do you think are going to make
the goal is 100. So there's 7 speakers. I usually have around 10 volunteers. And then hopefully 100 attendees, which puts us, you know, give or take 125 people in the space. Breakout sessions, 25 to 30. So I will cap it, you know, once we hit around 100.
Yeah.
To keep it intimate.
Yeah. Absolutely. It sounds incredible, Allison. I'm just delighted that you've created it. I'm excited that live events are a thing as well. It just feels like forever since we got to go anywhere and hang out with like-minded people. And that's, the intimacy you're creating. And even, even to kind of what Laura's saying is if you want to contribute, that actually is available to you. But even if you don't want to, there's a sense of being immersed in something that is productive and not just like watching a show on a big stage, right? So it sounds incredible. I really just acknowledge you for building it.
Yeah, thank you. It means a lot.
I was going to ask, when's it going to be? Do you have a date and
early bird tickets
where?
are actually on sale now through the end of the month. So it's October 1st through 3rd in Seattle, Washington. The venue space is called the House Studios. But early bird tickets are on sale through July 31st. And then regular tickets will be on sale August through about September 17th.
Wow. So why Seattle? Because didn't you say you moved, or do you just?
I didn't move. So I started it. I was in Seattle for almost 9 years, and really where I had a lot of roots, a lot of community. So the event started there. And then I had actually booked, this has been like the longest deposit for a venue space or any live event known to man. So before I left, I had put the deposit down for the venue space. They've been amazing and incredibly gracious in allowing me to just keep it. I think I put it down in 2019, like early 2019, like it was forever ago. So that's why Seattle.
Amazing. Well, where can people find out how to get tickets?
You can go to the website. It's ignitedwomensummit.com. It's also linked in my Instagram bio. Yeah. And I'm at Allison Tenney.
Wonderful. Yeah. Literally, I have a million more questions to ask you, but I think we have picked your brain. I want to thank you for coming on. We love talking to coaches who are established and practicing as coaches still, because actually just a little anecdote. I ran into a guy a couple days ago at Starbucks who follows me on Instagram, which is, by the way, you always comb your hair before you leave the house, just because that will happen. Okay. And awesome. he said to me, one thing I like about your content is that you're actually coaching clients, because most coaches coach for a while and then they get into business coaching and nobody's coaching clients anymore. And I love business coaches, and we talk to a ton of them on this show. And why I wanted to have you on the show is because you are actively coaching, and coaching is who you are, is what you do. That's your thing. And you've built it from scratch, as we all do, and have great success with it. And it's just always wonderful to hear those stories. So thank you for joining us.
And sorry to make this even longer, because you hit a trigger for me.
Ooh.
It takes time for a coaching business to do well. It bothers the crap out of me where I see other coaches that are in it for 6 months, a year, and they kind of trickle in some one-on-one and see how hard it is to make money, how long it takes. And they're like, you know what? I'll just go be a business coach.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest racket. You have to be successful, build a successful coaching business to then go be a business coach. So it's one of the things in the space that bothers me. It's why I'm very specific to say I am not a business coach. I got a successful business for me and my goals, but I'm not a business coach. I could be. Plenty of people ask me about it. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
It's a racket that is run on people in the industry that bothers me.
Yeah.
Same.
Thank you for saying that. I've noticed that too. When you ask business coaches to tell their story, maybe a third of them have had some real success on their own. The rest is, I just have a passion for helping other people, but they don't have their own proof statement. So
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
I want a business coach that's been in the trenches. I want a business coach that has typed the letters off a MacBook keyboard.
Right.
Yeah. I want to know, so yeah. But what I think we're grateful for too, is that you hit on the time piece. It takes time. You're not going to knock this out of the park in 6 months. Please let go of that.
There's been times where I've launched the dead and I got 0.
Yes.
0.
Yeah.
I
No.
hired bad business coaches. I've plunked down $5,000 and got fucking burned. Like there's a lot there that it's not just this linear, like, oh, I just launched and look at me go. Like, no.
So I mean, I tell everybody, I mean, you can tell me how you feel about this. I'm like, be prepared to give this 3 years for you to get to the point where you can actually support yourself on your business. Some will take longer. And I tell the people that I spoke to, I don't shy away from the fact that really, if I really were to take it from day one, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, to me leaving my career was 5, right? 3, when I really got serious, you know, but that's because, look, I was a single mom when I started, then got remarried, got knocked up in my 40s with twins. I lived in the suburbs of Chicago, the primary breadwinner. Like I could just leave, you know, but you know what? Put in the work, a lot of time, step by step. You know, you've got to have the flexibility and the willingness to be like, that's not working, or that doesn't feel right. And an opportunity presents itself that you're like, that's interesting, as long as it's in authenticity to the direction you want to go. But to your point, and I think a lot of people, if they know it, they hear someone say it takes that long and they might balk a little bit, you know, and
they think not me.
Oh,
Maybe
yes.
But it never applies to you.
But honestly, to kind of bring these topics together, it's really difficult when you're a new coach and you're excited to go out and you're starting to craft, your offering or your niche or whatever, and you're being bombarded with business coaching messaging, which is like scale your business to 6 figures, and it's like multiple 7 figures, and it's like,
and if you don't, it's your fault. It's your mindset. It's you're not abundant enough. I cannot. It's privileged white bullshit that I stay far away from.
Yeah. You can't, there's no shortcut that really works long-term. That's real in any way. I mean, we've talked to people before about, there are people that are just great marketers. They're really not providing you with much substance. They're just great marketers. And that's why they make great money, I guess. At least that's the perception that's out there.
But then you're always marketing because you don't keep people. Let me tell you, my client retention, 100% over the past year, 100%. Do I have to be a great marketer? Of course. I have to sell, I have to market, I have to show up on Instagram. I have to do all those things. I'm a business. But it goes beyond marketing. I provide value and a solution.
Yes. Okay. This is great because okay, first of all, we always get asked in the school that we work for, we train and mentor coaches, and as they're graduating from their certification course, they're like, well, how do I grow my business? It's like, you don't even have one.
Get good at your craft. That's how you become the best.
Thank you. I'm like,
you become the best.
Be a great coach. How do you scale your business? Be an amazing coach with a really wonderful product that solves problems, has a great slick customer experience. If you can manage that, be a good coach. You need to have something to scale. So don't worry about scaling. Don't be too influenced by these multiple 7-figure business coaches. You need to have a thing first. So build that thing and take really great care in building something that you love and that you're proud of. And that's why you did this anyway. So yeah. Oh my gosh, we just rant on this forever.
I think
this is a good finale.
But that's a great rant to end on. Just like, be a great coach. Know your craft, hone your craft, and deliver something of tremendous value. Help somebody else. And then you know what? They're going to refer you clients. And for years, that's where most of my clients came from. I was not the Instagram girl. I didn't even have Instagram until I grudgingly finally joined it. But, it just came by referral. And that's kind of, that's your mainstay, and I think you can then grow independently. What if something happens to Instagram? What you need is you need advocates and people that are like, she's the real deal. Or
you don't need viral TikToks.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love TikTok. I mean,
you're good at TikTok.
I do love TikTok and Reels. People will hate on TikTok and Reels. I'm telling you, I'll love it.
I think you have a knack for it though. Gosh. Anyway, but all I'm getting at is that like a viral TikTok is not what you should be gunning for.
No. Oh God, no.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you are at Allison Tenney on Instagram, right?
Yes.
And then your website is it
AllisonTenneyFitness.com.
Got it.
All of the things are linked. Truly, if you want to get a hold of me, hop into the DMs on Instagram. I'm living my best life on the gram.
Sweet.
So at Allison Tenney is the best way.
Got it. Awesome. Allison, this was so fun.
This was fun. You two are the best. I really appreciate it.
We loved it.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.
Well, if you've been listening at Health Coach Radio, you'll know that we're all about raising the voices of practicing health, fitness, and nutrition coaches, but most importantly, helping to further legitimize this exploding industry. Erin and I have disclosed often that we're on the faculty of the Primal Health Coach Institute, founded by none other than the health and wellness legend Mark Sisson. And we've interviewed dozens of guests from just about every different health coaching program you can think of, and who practice in just about any conceivable way you can think of. But our allegiance is to the health coaching industry in its totality, first and foremost. It's our desire to continuously and unapologetically lift and promote this industry that nudged us to create this podcast for you in the first place. It's this same yearning that encouraged us to take the educational offering at our health coaching school to the next level. We are so proud to offer the Primal Health Coach Level 2 certification course, which, when combined with our primary course, the Primal Health Coach Certification course, not only satisfies the educational requirements to sit for the board exam, but is specifically designed to teach advanced coaching mastery. You will work closely with a small class of peers through this 12-week, very intensive, live online classroom experience to learn how to execute a coaching relationship that is truly transformational. You'll learn and practice how to ask powerful questions, what it means to hold space for your clients, but most importantly, how to actually do it. You'll learn about the craft of motivational interviewing and the nuances of habit change, goal setting, and accountability, and how to nurture your client's own inner knowing, their intuition, and their own self-efficacy, so that they will graduate from your care a truly transformed person. You want a big, successful, powerful coaching practice. And maybe you're devouring our episodes looking for the silver bullet that's going to launch your business into the upper echelons. We've said it a million times and we'll say it again. Your coaching skills are what will make or break you and set you apart for success in this field. So if you're looking to level up your coaching skills and maybe dial up your credential and become a board-eligible health coach, look no further. You can learn more about PHCI's Level 2 program at primalhealthcoach.com/level 2. But if you would value talking to a real person about your path to being a masterful coach and perhaps a board certified coach, book some time with me personally. You can access my calendar at primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or just call me. You can reach me at 844-307-7662. Thank you for listening to Health Coach Radio, and I hope I get to talk to you soon.